Good morning and welcome to the Accessibility and Disability Policy webinar series. My name is Randy Turner and I'm the Accessibility and Disability Rights Coordinator with the Governor's Committee on People with Disabilities. This month we celebrate the 75th anniversary of National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Today we have workintexas.com, our state's workforce system, a winning combination for job seekers and employers. We are co-hosting this session with the Texas Workforce Commission, and so I'm going to turn it over to Michelle Castrow. Michelle, it's all yours. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. Again, I am Michelle Castrow, and I'm honored to participate in this webinar representing my Workforce Solutions colleagues from across the great state of Texas. I'm in Houston, and the end user reflections that I shared today from my coworkers here at Workforce Solutions in the Gulf Coast region are based on their interactions helping customers using Work in Texas to find a new or better job. I mention these features and benefits so that as the next two presenters speak and share their technical information, you can appreciate the incredible value that Work in Texas provides to all job candidates. You will notice that Work in Texas asks for a lot of information about you, your background and your current situation. That profile, that very thorough profile that you provide allows us at Workforce Solutions to discover your unstated needs. It's oftentimes hard to ask for help when you don't know what help you need or what might be available to you. So for example, if in Work in Texas, we see that a job candidate doesn't have a high school diploma, we can connect them to an adult education provider so that they can get an even better job once they get that high school equivalency. And of course, with our vocational rehabilitation services partner, we can make that connection too. You'll see that in Work in Texas, you'll want to take advantage of the complete work history. Work in Texas is going to ask you for a complete work history. And so take advantage of that, of having all of that information in one place for future reference, even if you don't need to provide all of it for the next job that you want to land. The pandemic has made us appreciate that we are all better together, even when that's through technology. And the social media sharing feature in Work in Texas is a great way to leverage networking in your job search. By paying it forward, you encourage others to do the same, building camaraderie, and you might even get that fabulous job lead in return. So again, that social media sharing function. Then of course, I encourage you to take advantage of the resume score. I like to call it a no shame review. The reason I say that is because Work in Texas built in has a feature that's going to give you comments on each section of your resume so that you can make modifications to your resume and increase your chances to be seen by recruiters. And then finally, the geographic search is a very popular feature. In Houston, it helps us focus on your job search so that you can manage your transportation options and commute times. So that is an incredibly big factor in a city like Houston, where a 3-mile commute can actually take you 30 minutes. So I hope I've given you some interesting tidbits about Work in Texas and how you can leverage this amazing platform to enhance your job search. The next two presenters have great information to get you started. They know that, and then also know that we at your local Workforce Solutions office all across Texas are ready to help you find a job, keep a job, or get an even better job. Thank you for having me, and I hand it over to our next presenter.
Margaret, your mic is muted.
Very sorry.
That's okay. Would you let me know what slide I need to be on?
The one you're on is fine.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for joining us today for this workintexas.com webinar. I am very happy to be here and to share this information. My name is Ellen Corley from the Board Service Strategies Division with the Texas Workforce Commission in Austin. Today's webinar will review workintexas.com's basic navigation. We'll cover registration for an individual, also known as a job seeker, the resume builder wizard, job search, and how to apply for a job. Our next slide will, we're going to get started here. This slide is showing our homepage for workintexas.com. If you have already applied for unemployment benefits, you should already have a username and password. If you are a new user to workintexas.com, you will need to click the register button. If you need a Spanish version of Work in Texas, you can click on this link underneath register that says in Espanol, and that will change Work in Texas to Spanish. The registration resources is an excellent resource. If you open this link, it will give you step-by-step guides and videos on registering in Work in Texas, as well as other valuable information and guides for use throughout the workintexas.com system. Our next slide, registering as an individual. After you click the register button, this page displays. If you are an individual who is not already registered in Work in Texas, you will go down to the last option 3 and select individual. If you are an employer or an agent, you will click the second button. Our next screen shows the first page of the workintexas.com registration page. Here you will create your username, password, and complete 3 security questions. It's recommended to write down and keep safe your username, password, and especially your security questions and answers. You will need these if you ever need to request a password that's forgotten. The information that TWC collects during this registration process is used to better understand your background and in determining services that may be appropriate for you. Your personal information provided during the registration process will not be shared with prospective employers unless specifically noted. Throughout the registration process, you will notice the red asterisks. These fields will be required. Once completed with each page, at the bottom of the page, you will see the button Next. You will always click that to go to the next screen. In some cases, you will have a back button where you can go back to the previous screen. If you'll notice at the top of the page, there is a little house with the word Home. That button, if selected, will take you out of Work in Texas, totally logging you out. So you would have to log back in. So try to avoid hitting this button if at all possible. The next couple of slides will show you examples of the disability section questions. Remember that any information provided will be kept confidential as required by law. Providing any of this information is totally optional, and not providing disability information is your right. However, answering disability questions will provide valuable information to workforce boards to help them in determining additional services that you may need or that are available. For example, by responding yes to the question, I am concerned my disability may create significant changes to obtaining or retaining employment, this would enable a referral to vocational rehabilitation or VR services. And it would not matter if the disability is medically diagnosed or not. So answering these questions will benefit you if you do have a disability, because there are a lot of services out there that are available. The next slide just continues to give you an idea of the rest of the disability type questions that you would encounter. The account creation acknowledgement page, which is our next slide, lets you know you have successfully completed your workintexas.com login process. So this box will show, it's going to have your username and 2 buttons, next, or I will return and continue later. We recommend that you click next to continue with the registration process. If you select I will return and complete later, then every time that you return to Work in Texas and log in again, it will bring you back to this page so that you can finish your registration. So continuing with our registration, the registration process is also going to ask you questions that will help the boards and staff assess the benefits that you may be eligible for. So complete each page, and remember your registration will not be saved until all pages have been completed. There is a progress map will display at the top of each page to show your progress through the registration. This is called the wizard. The box on the screen on the left, page 1 of 7, shows that currently the participant or the customer is in the education section finishing that, which shows yellow. Once that section has been completed, the yellow will turn to a green with the green check mark, and the yellow will move to the next section, which in this case is veterans. The link at the bottom is probably the most important thing on this presentation today. This is a link that will take you to your local workforce centers. It will help you find the most convenient office to you. Now, during COVID, some of our workforce offices are not yet open for walk-in customers. However, they have done an amazing job of developing creative ways of continuing to serve all of our customers. During COVID, boards are continuing to provide all services that they provided before COVID, but they're doing it a little differently. All services are provided virtually. They do provide one-on-one appointments through Skype or Zoom or other related technical process. They're providing services by appointment so that only a few people are in the centers at one time. Some have drive up and drive through services for customers who may need to fax documents, so they can hand those off to a staff member who will go inside, send that fax, and then bring you back your confirmation. You can have documents printed. They also, some of the boards have internet connections that are available in their parking lots. So you can drive up to the parking lot, log in using their internet on your laptop in your car. And there will, in most cases, be staff that are in that parking lot available to assist if you need it. I highly recommend that if you would like to have help with completing your registration or your resume, to contact one of the boards and set something up so that you can work virtually with one of our staff who will be more than happy to help you through this process and get everything set up so that you can job search. We have a great team out there, and they're all very happy and willing and eager to help you. On the continuation of the registration will move you through the following sections, asking questions about your education, your veteran status, employment, if you're a farm worker, your demographics. This is the section that you will find the disability questions as well as the demographic information. Additional background and public assistance. After completing the last page of the registration wizard, this confirmation message will appear. telling you that you have completed your registration, and you can click Resume Builder, which will take you directly to the Resume Builder to complete your registration. The Resume Builder wizard page displays. The first thing you'll need to do is enter your resume title. You want to try and keep it specific to the field of work that you're searching for. In this example, we've used preschool teacher. Under resume creation method, we're going to select comprehensive. The comprehensive resume will take you from anywhere to 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much information you want to provide. You will click next. Also keep in mind for this comprehensive resume, there are some categories within the resume builder that can be removed if you don't want them there. The resume builder section will display to show your progress through the wizard, much as the registration wizard did. So using the resume wizard for building this type of resume is really easy. You just need to follow the instructions, read carefully when a question is asked. Like if you want to share your resume with employers, you will select yes or no. Just know that the builder makes it easy to go through as long as you just take it slowly, read the questions and answer and put in your desired information. This screen is also showing you the desired locations. This is where you'll be able to select the areas that you wish to look for jobs while building your resume. Continuing with the resume wizard, just a few details. The wizard will auto-populate information from your registration. So there will be some pages that all you need to do is review it. You won't have to add any information, just review before continuing to the next screen. There's also a link down at the bottom of each page that says Exit Wizard. You do not want to click this link unless you are finished working for the day. By clicking Exit Wizard, it will take you out of the wizard and back to your dashboard page, which is the first page that you come to. And then you will have to pull up your resume again to start over. So avoid Exit Wizard. The last step in completing your resume will be, there will be a box, actually two boxes. The first box will say display resumes, references available upon request. If you click this box, then you will not need to add all of your resume and all of your references and contact information into your resume. If you also on this page, there will be a box that displays what you actually want the employer to see as far as your contact information. You will be able to remove, say, your home address and your phone number, your cell number, and probably just keep your name and your email address. This will keep, because the workintexas.com system is so big, there are so many employers out there that are looking for people to fill their positions. They will be able to see everything that's on your resume if you've selected this option. So we recommend that you not put a lot of personal identifying information on there, on your resume. There is also an option that you can have the employer contact you through the workintexas.com system. And this is also highly recommended. After you've completed your resume, we're going to move to the next page, job search page. So after you've completed your resume and have at least one saved resume, you will be able to search and apply for jobs through workintexas.com. When you log into workintexas.com, you'll enter your username and password and click sign in. The first page to appear will be a privacy question. Click I agree, and the next page will display your dashboard page. In order to apply for jobs, you will notice on the left side of your screen, there's a navigation menu. This menu are a series of boxes with headings. You're going to find the heading Quick Menu and select Job Search. And then this slide will appear for your job search. By selecting the Quick tab, which is the first tab, you will be able to search for jobs choosing the area, a keyword, additional quick search options, or if you know the job order number that you're looking for, you can put that number in and go straight to it. You will click the little plus signs at the end of the little green line, and it will expand this area so that you can search by multiple areas. You can use the map. You can search by state, by county, by metropolitan area, by the workforce area, or the city, or the zip code, or you can search all locations. Once you have put in all of your criteria, you will click search, and then your job search page will appear. The first page on slide 17, I have two pictures here. The first is showing the list of job openings. So the first page will show a total of the job openings that were found using your criteria that you entered. And down at the bottom, it shows an actual list of all of those jobs with this information. If you find a job that you are interested in, on the far right side, under the select column, you can select those, check those boxes that you're interested in. And at the bottom of the page will be a save button where you can actually save all of these to come back and review later. Once you selected one or more that you'd like to review, you're going to select under job title heading the name of the job. That will then populate the second box shown on this page, the job details page. This information will give you all of the employer's information about the job. In most cases, it will provide a hourly wage. It will tell you the hours of work, what the job entails, the job requirements, where the job is located, what the hours are, all of this information. If you decide this is a job that you're interested in and would like to apply, you will click How to Apply button. And once you do that, sorry, I lost my screen. Once you do that, the next page will display showing the employer preference. This information will tell you how the employer wants applicants to apply for their job. There may be additional questions that the employer has for you. In this case, we're going to be able to apply via resume. So you will click this button, and the next screen on this slide will show, and it will allow you to select the resume that you wish to use when applying for this job. Showing on this screen is the child care teacher resume that we created for our preschool teacher job. If a customer has more than one resume, then they can use the drop-down button to show all of the resumes that they have and choose the one that's appropriate to apply for this job. They can also, if they don't have a resume at this point, create a resume, or they can edit an existing resume. Once they have selected the resume they want, the next page will populate showing their confirmation. You're going to click on the box, check that, to acknowledge that you will be providing your contact information to this employer and that you're sending your resume. So you want to then submit application. The next page below will populate showing that your application was submitted and provide you with information about what was submitted. It will tell you the resume date and time that it was submitted and the name of the resume that you submitted. You can also, if you'd like, view that resume here if you want. Once you have reviewed all this information, return to job details, and it will return you back to your list of, will turn you back to your list of jobs so that you can select another job or continue searching. So that is the short and sweet version of workintexas.com registration and resume. Remember to use that resume resources link on your first page when signing in or registering if you need additional assistance, or by all means, contact one of the Workforce Board staffs who will be more than happy to help you work your way through registration or resume. Thank you very much for your time today, and I hope that you find Work in Texas a great benefit as we have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellen. This is Lisa. Now we're going to hear from Dan Kanunen on accessible features of Work in Texas.
Thank you, Lisa. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, thanks. Good morning. My name is Dan Kinnunen, and I am with the TWC Accessibility team. Today, I'm going to give you a few tips on using Work in Texas with assistive technologies. Now, by assistive technologies, I mean tools that help people with disabilities use their computers better. For example, screen readers and screen magnifiers are used by people who are blind or who have low vision. And the keyboard is used by people who are unable to use the mouse. Those are a couple of the main assistive technologies we use. So we do have 3 available interfaces for Work in Texas: the web application and a couple of mobile apps, the iOS and Android app, and all of these are accessible. I'll be talking about the web application today. So on the next slide, one of the main tools that people will use is the keyboard. When you're using a web page, you will generally press the tab key to move forward from link to link or form field, and to go backward, you press Shift plus the tab key. So on a site like Work in Texas and many web pages or websites, there are a lot of links on the page. So you might want to be able to quickly jump with the keyboard to the main content area of the page. So at the top of the page, the very first tab stop, when you press tab at the top of the page, is a skip to main content link. And if you take that link, it jumps you straight to the main content, so you don't have to tab through all of the other links to get there. There are a couple other links in that skip link area at the top. There's a skip to page footer link, which lets you skip straight down to the page footer where there are some other links available. And there's also a link called page preferences, and I'll talk a little more about that in a bit. But all of those links are found right at the top of the page to help you move quickly through the page. So on the next slide, if you're using a screen reader, we have some additional helpful features for moving around the page and for seeing what's on the page. landmark regions are a very helpful tool, and all of the Work in Texas web pages include a number of landmark regions. The top horizontal menu is one. That's the menu that goes across the top of the page. That left vertical menu in the left sidebar, there's a lot of links there. So that's one of the landmark areas. And then, of course, the main content is one of the places that you generally will really want to get to. So screen readers allow you to jump straight to these landmark regions. There's also a search region that's up in the top, in the inside of the top banner, that you can jump to quickly through with its landmark also. So on the next slide, another method that people who use screen readers will use to figure out what's on the page and to move quickly through the page are headings. So the main content area of every page begins with an H1 or a level 1 heading. So you can quickly jump to the level 1 heading to get straight to the main content. Also, in that left vertical menu, each one of the sections in that left vertical menu begins with a level 2 heading. So that lets you jump through that section quickly if you are navigating by headings. And then, of course, in the main content area, there will be other headings as appropriate to the page. Depending on what page you're on, there will be additional headings on the page. So on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about that left vertical menu in the next couple of slides, because there are a few helpful features that are provided for using that menu. At the beginning of each of those sections in the left vertical menu, there's a little plus or minus button. And what that does is lets you toggle that section on and off, or either hide it or show the section. And this, excuse me, can help you understand or get through that left navigation section more quickly. So the plus and minus key will work for every one of those sections. On the next slide, the way you'll get through these sections and select options is generally by pressing the tab key. So you'll press tab to move down through the links in that navigation area. And you'll notice that on some of the options, there's a submenu. And when you tab to that option that has a submenu, the submenu automatically opens and you'll start tabbing through the submenu also, which is helpful if you need to go through the submenu. But if you decide you don't need to tab through that submenu, you can just press Shift Tab to return back to the main menu list and then continue down through the list by pressing Tab. So you don't need to go through all of the options in the submenu. We also call those submenus flyout menus because they appear to the right of the left vertical menu. So on the next slide, another option just for to help you get through the page more quickly, if you're already in the section that you want to use, you can hide that left navigation menu. At the top of the page, there's a toggle button that lets you toggle the menu on and off. So if you toggle that off, it will hide the menu and you will not have to tab through all of those left navigation menu options. So that's just an easy feature for letting you get through the page a little more quickly once you've found the area you're working on. So on the next slide, you'll be filling out a lot of forms in Work in Texas, the registration forms, and then of course the resume builder forms that Ellen was talking about a bit ago. And using forms in Work in Texas is really the same as using forms on any web page, on any website. You'll press the tab key to get through the form from one field to the other to select the options in the form. One thing we do suggest with screen readers, and this is not just in Work in Texas, but any web page form, is that you should use your arrow keys to read the form to make sure that you don't miss any text that's found between the form fields. So arrowing through the form is always a good idea. You'll also notice in some cases, when you select an option in one of the form fields, you'll get a message that says, "We are processing your request." And while that's happening, you'll have to wait for that process to finish before you can continue. You will notice that the screen reader does announce that message when it is displayed. And then when control returns back to you, the focus will be placed right in the same place that you started from it. So on the next slide, Ellen also talked about the resume builder, which lets you create a lot of information. And there are templates available, or you can create your own template. As Ellen mentioned, also, you can choose to include certain sections or to hide them on your resume. And you can also reorder them. You can move sections up and down on your resume. Now you can do this either using the mouse by dragging and dropping the sections in the table, in the template table. But there's also an option to do this with the keyboard. There's a link above the template that says reorder the resume sections by keyboard. And that lets you actually reorder those sections using the keyboard and does not require the mouse. Another feature of the resumes is you can download your resumes in a number of different formats. You can download it as a Microsoft Word document, as an HTML document, rich text document, or PDF. And all of those formats are accessible except the PDF document. The PDF is not fully accessible for screen readers at this time. So you will want to use the Word or HTML or rich text formats in that case. And the next slide. Just a couple of extra general tips. We have found that the Chrome web browser and the new Edge web browser that's based on Chrome is one of the better browsers. You can use any modern web browser to access workintexas.com, but we've found that Chrome works well. And we do suggest you avoid Internet Explorer at this time. The new Edge browser from Microsoft that's based on Chrome is a better option for using the workintexas.com site. Also, I mentioned the page preferences. We're still on that previous slide. Thank you. There are a few options that you can use to view the page differently. There are some different themes. There's the web theme, which is the default theme when you view the page. This is what the site will come up looking like. But you can choose a text theme also. And what that will do is remove some of the larger images from the page. And then there's a screen reader theme that removes some of those images and also hides the left navigation menu, the left vertical menu. We found that none of these themes is really necessary to make the page accessible. So if you would like to just try the themes and choose which one that's best for you, those themes are available. There's also an option to disable the flyout menus, those in the left navigation sidebar. So those are just some of the options available in that page preferences dialog. And then finally, on the last slide, I know we talked about a lot of tips here. Ellen mentioned earlier that there's a link to registration resources up near the top of the page. And down in the news and announcements section on the home page, there's a link to that same area. It's called Registration Resources and Website Usage Tips. And that link will open up a file that will provide a lot of tips for using Work in Texas. And one of those tips is a guide for using Work in Texas with assistive technologies, which is just what we've been talking about today. So that guide will actually cover all of the tips that I went through just now. And there's some additional tips provided in there. One thing to keep in mind is that as Work in Texas changes, as we get new versions of Work in Texas, some of the usage tips might change a little bit. And so we'll keep the tip document that we have up online updated so that it stays current with the version of Work in Texas that's available. So that's all I have. I will turn it back to Lisa. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. We wanted to introduce Amy Landrum and let her kind of summarize what we've learned. Amy is I'm going to say project specialist for the Work in Texas launch, but also the agency's strategic communications director. Amy, would you like to say a few words in summary?
Thank you, Lisa. How's my audio?
It's good.
Okay, great. Thank you. I am having some bandwidth challenges, so I'm going to keep my video off. Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome, Amy Landrum with Texas Workforce Commission. And yes, here with our team today, here with my colleagues talking about Work in Texas, I'll just provide a couple of summary topics to tie off the presentation for them. Mention a few key points that they wanted to deliver today, and then open it up for Q&A. We're monitoring the questions as they come in. And Randy, if you could keep the slide on the slide 31, we're going to be able to answer some of your questions with the information on this slide. So just in summary, you heard from 3 different speakers today. You heard from Michelle Castrow with Workforce Solutions Gulf Coast, a representative of one of our 28 local workforce development boards. And you heard from Margaret Ellen Corley and Dan Kinnunen with TWC, specialists in employment services and accessibility. I think one of the things that we wanted to emphasize is Work in Texas has been available since 2004. And what they're looking at today, what they're showing you and talking about today is a significant upgrade that TWC made and relaunched last year. So this new version of Work in Texas has been in market for a year, and the team has had an opportunity to work with millions of Texans around the state who are using this site successfully to find work, as well as to find other services related to career path exploration, resume building, etc. We want to thank our partners with the Governor's Committee on People with Disabilities who invited us here to talk about really 3 specific areas related to Work in Texas. You got to hear from Michelle, who really represents the fact that there are real people behind this website. And that's one of the things that differentiates Work in Texas from other job site platforms. The site is here for self-service, but there's also thousands of people around the state like Michelle, who are here to support you if you need additional help with registration, with building your resume, with training, with referrals to employers, etc. And we'll check back in with Michelle to see if she has any other closing comments on that. You also got to hear from Ellen. As I mentioned, the site is designed to be self-serve. However, not everyone has the same technology needs coming in. And so for those who needed a little bit of orientation to the site, Ellen was able to provide a visual and verbal sort of orientation or guide to the basic navigation, to the registration process, and building a resume. And then finally, Dan was able to talk to you about tips for using Work in Texas with Assistive Technologies. And he's mentioned that there are tips available on Work in Texas for you to go to and download. And those are available from the homepage in the registration resources and assistive technology link. So finally, just to close it out, just want to mention that many Texans are utilizing the employment services provided by our workforce boards and are benefiting from the assistance with registration, resume upload, training, and referrals. Many Texans are also successfully using Work in Texas online and on their own. And so I think with that, we would now like to transition into a Q&A section. And so I'm going to start by helping moderate the Q&A based on what we've seen come in. And then please do utilize the Q&A feature to let us know any other questions. This group here for you today is going to do their best to answer your questions in the moment. However, there may be a couple of topics that we may want to get with our colleagues on and do some, at which point, Randy, we may come back to you with a written Q&A response to this to fill in any gaps that we aren't able to immediately answer. Additionally, some of the questions are asking about additional online resources. So in that document, we will be prepared to provide more specific resources and links for those of you who want some support in promoting Work in Texas. Thank you. So with that, let me open it up to the first question. So we have a question on Work in Texas training videos, and are they available to job seekers and employers who register in WIT, or is there an external link available? There are training videos available from the Work in Texas homepage. And if you are able to see the slide that's on the screen, this is a screen capture of the Work in Texas homepage, which offers in the top right corner a registration resources link. And down at the bottom, what you're looking at here under the news and announcements section, a registration resources and website usage tips link. When you click on that, it will take you to a variety of registration resource types, everything from brief desk aids to really in-depth usage manuals, as well as some orientation videos for job seekers. So those resources are available for someone who has not yet registered and needs that support and wants to leverage those to get registered. I'm going to ask my colleagues, Ellen, do you have any other comments you would add to that? And Ellen, you're on mute, so go ahead and unmute if you can.
So sorry. I think you covered it. Those two places for the registration resource for anyone that's outside. They do not have to be registered or in Work in Texas. They can just open the homepage and go to those two different sites on the homepage and open that up.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, next question. Is there a way to assist customers that don't have internet or computers? I'm going to address this, but I'm also going to ask Michelle Castrow to weigh in. She can really talk to what's happening at the local level. There are ways that staff have been assisting customers who do not have computers or do not have the technology they need. Clearly, in the last 8 months, the situation has changed with COVID, shelter in place, guidelines that have to be met. Michelle, would you like to talk about what you're doing in the Gulf Coast region and really as it represents what's happening around the state?
Sure. So a couple of things that we have been doing for customers. One is to do as much as we can over the phone, allowing people to stay where they are and can get as much of the registration done via phone. Another thing that we're doing is that in some locations, we're using tablets in a curbside service style. What I would encourage people to do is call the local office before you go. Again, with the pandemic, each location is affected differently. And with the availability of the hardware, actually getting the supplies to where they need to be, it is definitely a location by location situation. So I would encourage individuals who are having issues or do not have access to the technology to use the telephone to connect with the local office and make arrangements to get done what they need to get done.
Thank you, Michelle. And I think probably one of the biggest messages here is that with social distancing, all of the workforce boards are open. They may not be physically open, but they have remained open virtually, and in many cases by appointment only. So those services are available. And as Michelle said, the first point is to contact and discuss what the options are to get that set up. With that, I'm going to skip ahead one question just because it's related. The question, how does one schedule an appointment? Again, I'm going to refer you to a Workforce Solutions directory. There is a directory online where you can go and type in your information, your zip code, to find your local office. That's the best starting point. If you don't know what your nearest office is, the website will give you that information, that phone number or email, so you can contact. Michelle, do you have anything else you would like to add to that?
I echo exactly what you say, that using the directory to make that one-on-one contact is the best place to start. As you mentioned, our staff has been working continuously throughout the pandemic and in different parts of the state with the different levels. I do know that my colleagues are operating at different levels. So it's really important that you make a connection with that local office so that you can get the help that you need, because there are real people there. All of them are caring and compassionate. All of my colleagues do this work because they want to help people. So they'll figure out a way. I know that we in Houston are working on trying to create a online appointment system. And so I know that that is still in the works, but we do expect that in the near future, we'll be able to allow customers to make appointments on their own, select the location, and tell us the kind of help that they need so that we can continue to maintain that safe distancing, but still get people the help that they need.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, I see two questions that users have asked related to your specific profile or your specific account. If you've had trouble, you said had trouble getting information from your profile into your state of Texas application, and then someone else having issues with username and password. Our recommendation is, following this webinar, we'd like to put you in touch directly with a local representative to assist you. It will be important for them to log in and be able to see your profile so they can help you specifically. We'll be happy to do that as a follow-up. That way we can make sure we have the right person getting the right access to your account. If anyone else has had a specific issue with your account, go ahead and let us know here so we can follow up with you on that separately. Next question. I'm going to ask Dan if you can help answer this. Has Work in Texas been tested with the Safari web browser for customers who use iOS devices? Dan, do you know the answer to that question?
I know we have not specifically tested Safari on iOS devices on our team. So I guess the answer is no. We have not tested it. That doesn't mean people haven't used it, and you should be able to use Safari and on your iOS device. But unfortunately, I can't give you any specifics on that.
Thank you, Dan. That is the last question I see. So let me ask, was there any question that we missed or any additional questions?
Amy, this is Ellen. There was one question that I would like to answer. If a customer answers yes to this, is there always a referral to VR, or is it dependent on the job specialist? Is this automatic? I just wanted to let you know that it is not automatically a referral to VR. This is just once you have completed the registration and you go in or call the office for additional assistance, and this information is seen by staff on your registration, then they would know to ask if the customer would like a referral to the VR. So it's not automatic, it is a customer choice, and staff would ask that before it is done.
Thank you, Ellen.
I could just say something as related to that VR referral question, that yes, it is something that we are accessing in order to be able to pull a report as well, so that we can make contact with individuals who have identified it as having a disability in work in Texas. So it's something that we're also developing in order to be reaching out to folks who have indicated that.
Thank you, Lisa. That's good to know.
Lisa, I think we've covered all the questions. Please let me know if we've missed anything. Do you have any closing comments for the group?
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate that. I just want to say thank you to everybody. I know we have a number of TWC staff, as well as a lot of individuals who have joined us today. I appreciate the interest in this. And just to reiterate, we will make these materials available both through the governor's website in their webinar section, the replay on their YouTube channel, as well as on the Texas Hireability site, which is TWC.texas.gov/Texas Hireability. And now, I guess, Randy, would you like to close the webinar?
Sure, I would be happy to. We did have one more question pop up. Are keywords still used to match a job?
Yes, they are. Keywords are very important. Yes.
All right then. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of the afternoon. I would like to thank our captioning service, Texas Closed Captioning, and our interpreters from Communication by Hand. And we'll go ahead and close. Thank you all, TWC and Workforce Solutions, for making today possible.